folks probably know about the cop city in Atlanta, but did you know that it's not alone? These training facilities would also work with, invite, and exchange tactics with Israeli forces. That has been an ongoing and long-lasting relationship that our police, it's called the Deadly Exchange. Well, Jewish Voice for Peace.
Do they call it?
Yeah, I mean, they probably do. They like that kind of shit.
I know.
They probably like it. So there's this map that was put out by Is Your Life Better? Which I love that. It's isyourlifebetter.net, which I really love.
It's a good name.
But I mean, it's also like, if you look at the sources, it's really well done, really well researched. So here's a map of cop cities in the US, and it outlines ones that, if you look at the key, outlines ones that are on the planning stage, approved for construction, under construction, facility open in multiple phases. So that's a lot.
And let's remember how awful the cop city in Atlanta has been. I mean, major protests against it, using hundreds of millions of dollars, knocking down the only remaining forest in the city of Atlanta to do this. Like, there's so many reasons it's terrible. And yet other cities and towns across America are like, we want one of those.
And it's because, I mean, obviously because they don't care about the forest, they don't care about anything, but it's deemed necessary to continue and ramp up the militarization and the Nazification of our police in this country, which we will be seeing more of as time progresses, as people begin to see more and more the reality of an empire in decline, right? As more and more people take to the streets, as more and more people go on strike and things like that, the facade will continue to crumble. And as the facade continues to crumble, on the other side of that facade, you're going to see a lot of dudes in riot gear. And also, just to point out, like, the interconnectivity of these issues, like, I don't know how much all of these cost. A lot of them are like in the, 10 to 20, 30 million dollar range. The one in Baltimore is planned at $330 million, which
$330 million, and the one in Hershey, Pennsylvania, $300 million.
Hershey, like the dude, like Hershey. Okay, there's a chocolate factory in Hershey as well. Although it's disgusting chocolate, I wouldn't even call it chocolate. Anyway, that's a side point.
Everyone knows about Hershey chocolate.
So, well, and here's interesting too. Like, folks will remember things going down in Washington, not least of all, like, I mean, this was, 25 years ago now, the battle for Seattle, but the incredible, like, anarchist and left-wing organizing that's happened in Washington state. I mean, there's like 4 or 5 cop cities planned in Washington state. Coincidence? I think not. But again, so, like, looking at the price tag of these things, people in Baltimore lack a wide range of basic services. Good schools, healthy food, clean air. I mean, all kinds of basic services, not to mention healthcare. A neighbor of ours works with addicts to try to get them mental support and also, like, healthcare support, and is always up against an endless stream of, like, how are you going to pay for that? We can't pay for that. We can't pay for that. And it's like, well, no shit, because we're going to put $330 million into a cop city so that we can better oppress the people who have mental, physical, and emotional problems. Great. That seems like a way better use of our money. Not to mention, things like the school to prison pipeline, because why the hell bother putting money into schools? All of these things are interconnected. And so hating cop cities because you hate cops, that's great. But hating cop cities because of the deeper understanding of the systemic interconnectivity of all of these issues that oppress us is vital, and therefore vital to fight these cop cities wherever the closest one to you is, because unfortunately, wherever you are, there's one nearby.
I think you tied it all together very well there. The amount of money going towards these while people are suffering in so many ways. I mean, you have homelessness increasing and hunger increasing and poverty increasing in one form or another, and so many people are struggling. And instead, when you're in a waning empire like this, as it continues to crumble, the answer for the ruling elite is more guns and more walls. That really does seem to be where things are headed, as opposed to if you look at areas in the world that have far lower inequality, people are far happier, but there's also a lot less street crime. There's a lot less violence. inequality is kind of like at the core of so many of those systemic problems.
Somebody in the chat commented, it's interesting to see liberal states like Minnesota and Washington doing these kind of things. I'd just like to say, yeah, because liberalism is the paved road to fascism. It runs real smooth and real fast.
Yes. Yes.
It's way better than the paved roads we have in this shithole country. I'll tell you that.
At minimum, the liberals are the ones out there being like, can I help to pave the road? It's fascism? Awesome.